Today I will be talking about how technology and cell phones is so much a companion today in today's world. Technology is a fast-growing pace with computers, cars, everything you can imagine within the school systems, businesses, cell phones. It's a growing companion today. If you were born in the 1970s, 80s, or 90s, it was a big difference from each year period where the 70s where the first Motorola phone came into play. Then the 80s they came up with the computers, and 90s such for more 2000s you have the newest Samsungs and the iPhones available. Technology to me is a very broadened thing. As of just by working in a electronic field, you get the feel of how technology works. Some people I might help out with in different electronical things, such as it's probably not my field, but it teaches me how I can help the next person, because that's always good for to gain knowledge and information about a product that you may not know, and you can pass it on to somebody else for them to pass on to somebody else. Like each one teach one. Technology and cell phones. Cell phones was created in April 3rd, 1978 by Motorola. They came out with the biggest phone as possible. As you can see, you guys, if you can see right here, that was the first phone made by Motorola. As you can see, the phone is this phone and how it emerges from the 70s all the way up to 2000s with your newest iPhone and some of the older models. As businesses wise, technology was made really for businesses, not really the consumers. Such as computers wise, they were also sold computers, which was the first computer was HP, which was also sold only to businesses, not just consumers. At that time, businesses were up and coming and making their runs on how to make profits and accountables for their business and products. Consumers were late down the line. When you have people buying stuff, for the kids, that was more of the 90s, 2000s thing. Cell phones were very big. Like back in the day, there was a way of getting around to each other, of contacting each other. 1970s, they didn't have that. They had, at that time, I don't think they had house phones. At that time, going back, you had beepers in the 90s and stuff like that. So it was very hard contacting people. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
So, cell phones were a good thing as it was invented, because it was more of a contact where you can be able to reach a family member with an emergency, or if there was something that happened, you can contact that person. As you can see in this picture right here, it gives you a broadened aspect of how technology works. It's like a business. It's a world of your technology. You have the aspects of different businesses that connect. So it's sort of like a business management, the e-commerce system, how everything goes around, and you can see how each business connects, and it's a product that goes from each business through the consumers, which is technology. So it's a companion of how it's shaped around and how it goes around for business and products moving through with consumers. On that hand, HP Hewlett, the first computer, was an A200. It was a sort of an old type of computer, not stylish at all as you would be to your newest computers now. It was very intriguing to see how technology has came from a long way from the 70s all the way to now year 2000s, where they have iMacs, the newest HPs. Now today, the biggest thing for I know students are tablets, where tablets are installed with all new software. Software, your new Microsoft Word on tablets. Now, if it wasn't for technology, you wouldn't be able to do all that type of stuff. You wouldn't be able to get on different softwares. I know you guys have Samsung phones. You couldn't update that without your Android systems, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to do that. Now, people for iPhones, they have the new iOS. You have the newest iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. Now that operates off a 8.0 iOS systems. Now, if you didn't have that, your phone wouldn't be running as smooth as, be running smoother than the older ones. According to my reference, cell phones were convenient enough to where back in Detroit, the city of Detroit, police officers used to catch a lot of crimes, which was a very good thing back then, as Detroit was a little wild. So officers used to try to contract each other, or where they would catch convicts and stuff like that. Another thing, Apple Macintosh, Steve Jobs is another reference. According to my reference, Steve Jobs started Apple, and him and Steve Wozniak, they formed a great, as you could say now, it's a great Apple. I'm sure you heard of that company. Formed a Macintosh computer, if you're familiar with that. Back in the day, it was called Macintosh. Macintosh, they built that actually in the garage. Can you believe that? Built a computer in the garage, and sure enough, that Apple is if you look at any stocks and bonds, if you look on your phone, which is greatly, shows you all the stocks, Apple is really up there. Great company, after Steve Jobs built it the way it is, it's still expanding. It's a great company. That Macintosh, what they did with that, what I think is, I believe that during that time, that building that, they had a great mindset of what they wanted to do, and they built so much. They built so much and had the greatest knowledge of building his own, just companion with the company. Because Steve Jobs didn't make it at first. He built his own status and knowledge, and he did his thing. Now, computers, as another hand, that connects with the cell phones. Like I go back to the businesses, they're very well-rounded. A lot of businesses use that as, using their technology to get around and do their stuff, staffing and anything like that. Another thing is internet. The internet and cell phones, they came a long way of your beepers and stuff like that. So I really think that's important to our today's society, because it's growing. We need our youth to build in new knowledge of the technology. So everything is so advanced now. So it's good to pass that to the youth. Do you guys have any questions?
No.
Yeah. When Bill Gates came with the computers, did that take a lot away from the phones?
No. Bill Gates, as I recall in my research, Bill Gates started Microsoft. So that kind of built his way up, and he built, for video games like the Xbox and stuff like that. Thank you, Dr. Jones.